Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about how to strength train without squats and lunges.
This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line.
If you're listening to this episode, you are looking for ways to strengthen your glutes without squats and lunges because the majority of things out there that say to strengthen your glutes include squats and lunges. But for someone with knee problems, a runner with knee problems, squats and lunges are not always the option. So you want something else. I'm glad you're here because I'm going to explain exactly what to do to build up your build your glutes without needing squats and lunges. Now, before I get into that, I will preface this by saying squats and lunges aren't bad. I do have an episode about that. Go ahead in the show notes. There will be the link to that episode. They're not bad for your knees. However, somebody who's in the early stages or in a flare of having knee problems like IT band syndrome, arthritis, meniscus tears, runner's knee, squats and lunges tend to make them worse, make those problems worse. So it's not a no pain, no gain situation. We don't want more sharpshooting joint pain while we're strength training. The pros don't outweigh the cons in that scenario. Because if you just keep flaring up your knee every time you strength train, which you know you need to strength train to get rid of your knee pain, every time you create more pain in your knee, the longer it's going to be there. So if you strength train and do squats and lunges on Monday, well, then you're down for the count until Friday. Your knee hurts for the next 3 or 4 days. And then you go and strength train on Friday or Saturday, and then you're down for the count for another 3 or 4 days. And you go in this awful cycle. And then you end up not even being able to run. You can't do more strength train. You can't stay consistent. And you can't build any strength because to build strength, you need to do it consistently. And with pain, it just doesn't happen. So that's why I talk so much about not doing squats and lunges. It's not a never, it's a not right now. That sharp shooting pain that you have searing into that tendon in the front of your knee or on the inside of your knee joint, it's your body's way of telling you, not this, not right now. And being a physical therapist for the past 12 years, I became a physical therapist in 2012. And if we're counting the time that I had to do clinical rotations, because you have to do 9 to 12 months of clinical rotation, then I've been doing this for 13 years, including that time. I have seen so many people do so well with getting rid of their knee pain, building their glute strength, and not doing a single squat or a lunge. So I'm going to outline what you need to do today. I will say, since this is a podcast and you can't see me, it may be confusing. So if that's the case, go to the show notes and I'll have some options to view some videos. I am doing a live workshop going through all of this on September 25th. It will probably be in more detail on that day. Plus, you'll have videos of showing you what to do. So you can go ahead and register for that in the show notes. If it's before September 25th, 2024, you can still register. Okay, so the way you should think about building your glute workout without squats and lunges, we need a couple of things. I call it an ASS program, ASS. You need activation, you need stability or stabilization, and you need strength. So those are the 3 types of working your glutes. I don't know how to phrase that better. Maybe somebody has a better phrase. Send me a DM, runDisney DPT on Instagram, and let me know how to better phrase that. But that's basically what you need your glutes to be doing. You need your glutes to activate, you need your glutes to stabilize, and you need your glutes to strengthen. So those are the 3 categories. And then in those 3 categories, you need exercises where you're standing, exercises where you're laying on your belly, exercises where you're laying on your back, and exercises where you're laying on your side. So the difference is, I'll start with the laying down exercises. You want to optimize how you are working those glutes. So your glute muscles are your gluteus maximus. That's the biggest one. That's why it's maximum, think biggest. That's your biggest one. That's the one you see when you look at somebody's rear end. That's glute max. Beneath that, or deep to that, you have gluteus medius. That's the middle one, the medium one. And then you have gluteus minimus, smallest, minimum. And that's with gluteus medius and deep to that one. Okay? So each of these muscles combine to make up the glutes as a whole. They all do slightly different movements based on how they're attached to the body. So we need to maximize the 3 different movements that are the main movements of all of these muscles. So gluteus maximus, its main movement is called extension. Extension is when your leg goes behind your torso. Okay, so where your foot goes behind your torso, it's a kickback. Okay, gluteus medius, it does lateral motion and pelvic stability. Lateral pelvic stability because of how it attaches from the leg bone to the pelvis. So if you're laying on your side, it lifts your leg sideways in the air. If you are standing, based on how it pulls, it keeps your pelvis level so you don't have this drop. The best way to describe that pelvic drop is watch professional runway models. And they do this hip motion, this side to side hip motion, and really exaggerates it. Well, if they're not exaggerating that, which gosh, I hope they are, because they have really bad glute stability if they aren't making that movement themselves. But that side to side drop that you see, that hip sway that you see, that is glute medius not doing its thing. If the pelvis is completely stable and level while you walk, then glute medius is strong. And then glute minimus helps out with that lateral motion. So we need to maximize how we are activating and stabilizing and strength training those 3 muscles in the different positions. So that's why you need to strength train your muscles in the different positions so that you are working those muscles in their primary capacity. And then you also need to work on standing exercises, specifically single leg movements. Single leg because running, the difference between running and walking is when you run, you are always on one leg at a time. That is the difference between running and walking. When you're walking, at one point in the gait cycle, both legs are on the ground at the same time. With running, they're never on the ground at the same time. That's why if you ever see professional race walkers and people are like, what's the difference between this and running? That's the difference. Race walking, they have to have their feet on the ground at the same time at certain points in the gait cycle. They can't have flying feet and they can't just have one foot on the ground and the other one not throughout the whole gait cycle. At some point, both legs need to hit the ground. So with that in mind, when we're running, I like to call it running is a series of single leg hops. So if you've followed me for the past few years, at one point you heard me talking about, the living room test, the hopping test to see how far you can run, because running is a series of single leg hops. This time I'm talking about, since we're talking strength, activation, stability, I'm talking about stabilizing and activating and getting the glute muscles stronger in single leg stance. So you have to do single leg movements. So Yes, you can stand on one leg and see how long you can stand there, but that is boring AF. So we don't want to do that. So you can do different arm movements standing on one leg. You can do different leg movements standing on one leg and thinking about those different leg movements that activate those glutes. Yes, you can kick backward, you can kick sideways, you can rotate, and yes, those are working the moving leg, but when you're in single leg stance, you want to be working on that leg that you're standing on because you need to build up the strength, the stability, and the endurance to be able to do that for who knows, 48.6 miles over 4 days. If you're doing dopey, you need to make it so that those muscles can endure all of that time on one leg. Now, if you're doing run walk intervals, which a lot of my clients do, it's not going to be, that whole time, but we certainly need to get it used to doing that for a long time. So that's how you want to work these muscles. You want to work on making sure you can activate your glutes, so actually engage those glutes in the different positions. You want to be able to stabilize your glutes in those different positions, and you need to strengthen those muscles in those different positions. So, in the workshop that I'm hosting September 25th, I will go through exactly how to check that you're activating your glutes and engaging your glutes, whether you're laying on your back, belly, or side, whether you're standing on one leg, how to stabilize, what to look for if you're not stabilizing to show that you're not stabilizing in those different positions. Yes, even on your back, belly, or side, because your body is going to do something different if you're not stabilizing. And so then if you can't stabilize, you can't accurately, adequately strengthen because then you're just compensating. So, in order to strengthen, you need to make sure you're activating and engaging, and you need to make sure you're stabilizing so that you can move forward and strengthen. So, we go through how to activate in single leg stance, standing on one leg, how to activate laying on your back, how to activate laying on your belly, how to activate laying on your side. We talk about and go through how to stabilize standing on one leg, how to stabilize laying on your back, how to stabilize laying on your side, how to stabilize laying on your belly, and how to strengthen in all of those positions as well. So, if you are looking to build your own glute workout program that does not involve squats and lunges, I invite you to the free workshop September 25th. Go ahead to the show notes to register for that.
As always, thanks so much for listening. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.